feel like it's probably even in death. Sometimes I like to play this fun mini game called Ask Questions that actually aren't really useful to the topic point.
Ninja Van, what's up?
Nothing. Just
look.
He's through.
This was never really a Medivh battleground for
Which is why I was
right?
like, does it still show?
Yeah.
It wasn't for anybody. Medivh.
They'll do it anyway.
See, this is the coolest thing about the problem. I use the word the problem, but it's just a situation unfolding of Medivh in North America is because this is now the second case where he's been first pick worthy on a map where he has seen almost literally no play ever. He hasn't had a direct value into the map objective. There are very few situations other than Medivh's raw, objective strength, which again, from my perspective, is unrivaled in competitive Heroes of the Storm. So it's not surprising to see it picked up, but it's just more that it's very much showing every single person, every team's thought process on how valuable this character is more than just one notch. It's like we've turned halfway through the dial here for North America.
Turning it up for Medivh. So what is the warrior combo behind that? Because as we know for Roll20,
Diablo. It's going to be Diablo. Just trust me. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, over the Garrosh.
I have a counter argument for it. I have a reasoning for it. It's for the ETC. It's not really that great, but like you can use the mosh pit, the synergy with the APOC, but then you also can always deter the mosh pit. I just really want an old school Medivh APOC combo from Roll20.
It's been a hot minute since we've had that. Malthael Greymane though.
Those are like standard meta heroes. What are you doing, Roll20? Trying to win the game? Come on. Even in death, what do they want to be rid of now that they have got this? If they do not intend to pick the Falstad, I don't mean to be the guy who's only talking about Falstad all day, but I feel like I want them to be able to take it.
I don't think they have to worry about Falstad. Roll20's not going to pick it. They need to support
I guess you're right.
tank.
That's 3 damages across the board. Never mind. I'm just go home, Dread. You're drunk.
But no Task Tracer.
No Task Tracer available. So if you have the ETC on his own as a front warrior, you know you're not going to get many mosh opportunities with literally just the Medivh picked up on the other side. But neither of the other two have any hard crowd control. You know it's got to be the support. You know that, in fact, it's got to be the main warrior. Both of those, very few can get an interrupt on the mosh from supports. So, like, they're actually pretty crippled. They're a walking cleanse.
Love that Uther ban to try to take away at least some of the hard crowd control there. And they take a new Barak.
And they take Karazim. I mean, they're just stacking supports and warriors at this point.
Support warrior, support warrior.
I mean, Roll20 is going to go support warrior list. Okay, so we have seen Karazim in double supports before. Of all the double supports.
That's all Tempest is running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damage DPS.
He's making it work.
Yeah, they are. They're throwing out the Fists of Fury, and it's working. That's what we need. Oh, man. Can you imagine if Fury was a support player on Karazim, like in the Iron Fist and punching out? I just feel like having a name like Fury and the Fist of Fury, it just works, you know?
That's always why I wanted him to play Sonya. Maybe we'll get that now.
Maybe it fits his role.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Well, this is interesting.
Stukov Arthas.
Okay.
Arthas is the original synergy with those. Stukov is the fluctuation and adjustment for Roll20. And honestly, everything else is very standard for them. A little bit of fluctuation. Even in Death has gone very different than what we normally see from them.
And really, from North America.
I want this to not be your traditional hypercarry backliner. I don't know what I want it to be. I just feel like the last thing I want to see out of Even in Death is when you go to a map like Sky Temple, commit to a double warrior, double support in a traditional basic team fighting that's going to approach it left to right, especially into a Medivh. Feels Lunara, man.
I was just pulling up their team sheet, like what else could it possibly be?
And you were just going to crush my hope and dreams, and they were like, don't worry, Gilly, we got you. Going to go ahead and steal that one. We're locking in the Lunara.
Lunara with a Karazim.
Yeah.
To get the kills.
One
Punch Man.
I'm not so concerned about the damage problem here. As much as it is just Karazim's going to be picked here, and unless he's blatantly played as like an absurdly different playstyle, like full offense, which the build can't get that much more offensive. So like I'm already struggling to go like, how can you build it that way? So it's got to be through play style. Like just somehow always up in their face, synergizing with mainly ETC, always follow up his power slide, get the punches in, get the damage output out there, and then maybe that would be it. It's just with even in death, you're against Roll20. It's going to be a hard time. You got to make some kind of major changes if you're going to recover.
I got you. Bloodlust.
Bloodlust is it?
Bloodlust makes it more powerful.
You are correct. It does make it more powerful. Can they get away with it, though?
They're against Mouth Ale anyway. You don't want ancestral healing. Just give it up.
I mean, but do you want to Bloodlust into a ley line? Like, I feel like, you know, I don't feel like I totally countered your argument, but I feel like it's pretty close.
And Arthas doesn't make it very much better.
No, no. But you are right. You're looking for something. You're doing the exact same thing I am. It's just you got to have some kind of flavor in there. You can't just go in and assume. Otherwise, it would be a 3-0. And so it's like, well, where is that going to come in? And yes, we have seen even in Death prioritize double warrior, double support in the past. They have. It's been different iterations with the primary support being Ariel, and when it was a double support meta. That's not the case anymore. It's an off support with the Kharazim. And Lunar is just kind of here, you know? And there's so many comfort on the side of Roll20. It's not that it's bad that they went that direction. That's why I'm trying to get across. It's just we know that this is going to be a difficult task. Make something happen.
Let's get into the game. We're going to Sky Temple for Game 2. Roll20 currently with a 1-game lead over Even in Death.
What's so funny? You know?
Nothing. Here we go, Game 2. Flarong's back on his Medivh, and I bet he is excited for that.
Slightly different level 1 coming out from the Arthas. Going with the passive at level 1.
Yeah, that is justing Arthas.
Yeah. Also, we see on a Pale Horse.
He keeps baiting us into thinking that he is going to take Syndragosa because he goes Death Coil build. Not falling for it this time, Dreadnought. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, dang right, Justin. We want nothing to do with your fake Syndragosa, but he has it up on the He's got it up on another monitor. He knows. I guarantee he's listening. A couple minutes from now, he's going to hear this.
Shh, don't tell him I'm using reverse psychology because I really want him to take Syndragosa.
Okay. Justin's such a dingus, he'll never know. For laning setup here, even in Death, seem to be setting ETC as the solo lane. And I know we've been seeing this more and more frequently, Gilly, but I do want to convey the idea to everybody at home that ETC is not a solo laner. He's a Tassadar, that's giving him a lot of credit. He is a guy who sits in a lane to not die a lot of the times. He is a little bit better than some other warriors, and yes, he does have a few, you can make a couple of arguments as to why he might stand out, but most of the time he will struggle, and most of the time he's kind of just going to be that placeholder. Just don't pick him with the intent to be like the lane bully monster that is going to be ETC. He's not terrible.
He gets a lot better once he has Echo Paddle.
He gets once you get Echo Paddle, but up until that point, you're just kind of, you know, doing the thing. And again,
you are in fact a cow attacking a bunch of minions with a guitar.
Think about all the parameters we traditionally hold up. That's a dead Lunara. Perfect synergy with the choice of, you know, with Buds with the Lurking Arm, the Howling Blast.
Yeah, I have to imagine that Howling Blast is a lot easier to follow up with the Lurking Arm than trying to figure out where the heck Justin is going to be throwing somebody with the Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, that probably is a good call there. 2 seconds away from the double Shrine phase. That is the first Shrine phase of Sky Temple. This is always top and mid for the first one. There's a couple other variables, but let's be real here. I expect action to happen before I can explain all 3 possibilities over the first 3 Shrine phases.
Including a support 1v1 on the Shrine, but the rest are following suit to join in. Buds is going to be the first to fall, but a Howling Blast catches 2.
Homicidal sniped him out with that impale. That was max range. Lutano is in a bad spot, gets the Death Coil, but he survives with the heals of Howl.
He's kind of up in a corner. He's ready to go back in for more battling. Howling Blast catches him though, and with the force of will, Prismaticism will finish him off.
But Justin lost his portal the last second there, and so even in Death, catch another kill. 2 for 2 in total when looking at both teams. And shots captured by Roll20 throughout mid. Even in Death, making the transition down. They've kept Howe up on top to be able to get that shot on his own. Rhaegar is one of the better supports, both Rhaegar and Kharazim, when it comes to supports controlling the shrines, but they aren't necessarily reliable 1v1ers on it.
The problem is that Roll20 were able to stall out this top temple for so long that they can give up the rest of the shots in the mid and then still be able to fight over the remainder of the shots in the top. Even in Death are doing what they can to make sure that they get the rest of these so that they are at least keeping up with the amount of shots contained by Roll20 in this first phase. But with Malthael, this whole time he's just been double soaking throughout in the lanes.
It's just winning on all fronts for the members of Roll20, but they're going to be collapsed on by Battery until Glarung does what Medivh does best, throws down one portal. They are in, and then they're out. And then the best part about it all, they might be in again in a matter of seconds there. It's really Roll20 just gets to decide if this is the fight that they want. And it really kind of wasn't. They walk away with a full level lead, and more importantly, the structural advantage.
Man, when all is said and done, Roll20 contesting both of the temples means that there is no fort that is especially low that Even in Death can hope to get an experience boost from to catch them up with Roll20. Roll20 soaked as soon as Malthael was done in the mid. Back and forth between mid and bot, they are massively ahead in the Sky Temple game.
They are just absolutely dominating. And where do we see it stop? When does it stop? Nobody really seems to know. The secondary shrine phase has got to be usually the breaking point on a map like Sky Temple, to where you can find the team that is going to be in a position to lose the game, you know, rather than winning it more so. And so that has got to be where I'm looking for Even in Death. If they are going to be able to recover, again, it has been a honestly very impressive early game from Roll20 to get this kind of lead. And if they can't recover before that window, I assume that this is going to be Roll20 just ending a Sky Temple game very quickly.
Justing now has the 2 talents necessary for his boss control, and we are seeing that in full force against Lutano. He has taken Icy Talons, which increases his attack speed the longer that Frozen Tempest is attacking a hero, and then he pairs that with Rune Tap, which gives him a lot of sustainability. Even adding to that Army of the Dead at 10, and he can sit on a boss point for just about forever, and there is nothing really to push him away, no Gust. The best you're hoping for is a face melt from ETC.
Yeah, nobody's going to be able to stop his ability to auto-attack either. That's the biggest thing. Lunar is the most effective, and purely because she has range and kiting capabilities over the Arthas, but ETC's interrupts are not usually enough to lock in the Arthas, which is why you were willing to risk that Icebound Fortitude. And Karazim, I mean, and Rhaegar, both the supports, very easy here. So I love the talent choices from Justing.
Cocoon will be able to help once Even in Death can get to 10. But like we said, they are down a full talent, or a full level. And with the portals, no Medivh kill, but they got close to taking out Glarung. He is not done with Master's Touch.
Yeah, the Lurking Arm dropped by Buds was almost enough to find Battery as well. Punishment going on to Homicidal. He has Burrow Charge. He's going to drop it, go in for a tap. 10 is closing for Roll20, but not fast enough. Battery's trying to make it happen. Prismac goes in with Goku. Justin getting the flank with a slow out of his Frozen Tempest. Homicidal still stuck in it, but right now, Even in Death still keep themselves alive.
Things are getting closer and closer to heroics. The minion actually puts Arthas in a great position to potentially body block or at least get Frozen Tempest on Homicidal, but he gets out. His need to back is the end of Even in Death contesting for the Temple. They got what they could, and now they have to retreat and get heroics.
Even in Death, a level and a quarter behind, half the shots up on bottom, a boss on top of it all. Cannot get much worse for a map like Sky Temple. Sky Temple traditionally is a map that you expect the least, lopsided. It will maybe a level, maybe 2 levels, but not that early game snowball blowout like you can get on Warhead Cursed BOE. Giving that much more credit here to Roll20 and what they have managed to make happen so far, not only through this game, but this series.
Roll20 did get an early boss, which should help finish off that bottom fort, but Even in Death, knowing where Roll20 were going to go, do at least take out a fort of their own.
Really surprised that was the lane line choice. I guess it makes a lot more sense considering everybody else coming down from below now. Goku's got the flank. How is going to be his target? Justing. Howling Blast does not land, but he's got to get out of that Feral Spirit mode to be able to get the heals. He falls. Lutano shortly after.
That was a great setup fight-wise for Roll20.
It really was.
The ley line was good so that Hal couldn't rotate back in and get a heal. They took out ETC, then Goku getting the Reaper's Mark initially, and then using Wraith Strike to have the body block long enough for a Howling Blast follow-up. Now there's a portal, Battery power slides through it, but he's been caught by an Arthas, a Lurking Arm, brought down.
He did commit to the stage dive, though, while he was silenced. What if you couldn't choose your talents while you're silenced?
That'd be cool.
That's kind of a cool concept.
Yeah.
I just thought about it. I was like, he chose, I don't know. He wouldn't be able to choose it. I don't even know if it would have made that big of a deal there, but he commits to the stage dive.
What if you were blinded and your monitor went fuzzy? Kind of extreme.
Yeah, it's a little bit extreme.
You know what this would be fun for? Some sort of brawl mode.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
What was your favorite brawl out of all the brawls?
Pool party.
Pool party?
Like
Yeah.
pool party.
Yeah, the pool party. I was playing with Tiger, JK, and Tomster for like 1,000,000 hours that night when that thing came out.
The
It was
snow
so fun.
brawl was also really good. Goku.
Tormented
Oh,
Soul.
man.
Can he live? He's
They're
got
going to get
Medivh.
through here. Look at Arthas.
He's got Medivh. He's got no.
Seven-sided struck.
Bud's unable to make it down to heal him up, and Glarung in that Raven form's a little slow. Leaping strike from Frozen X. They find a second kill, and that is Prismaticism. Justing, surviving with that defensive Arthas build we've been talking about. Bud's falls.
All right, so in that instance, maybe just best to cut your losses. But Roll20 were hoping they could get the save on Goku.
It is one of those awkward moments where you want to be excited for Even in Death, but you realize that Roll20 was more going, we're so far ahead. Do you think we can take this?
Yeah.
Like, do you actually think we... I mean, I've been that guy. Luckily, Roll20... Or luckily for Even in Death, Roll20 was unsuccessful in that one, and we kind of hit a second window where it's like, you know, this game isn't out of control yet. Again, it's whether or not Roll20 gives them the opportunity, because that was genuinely the most, oh my gosh, words are just
Opportunistic?
impossible. Opportunistic moment.
Nice.
We nailed it.
Goodbye, friend Hao. Goku.
Oh.
Frozen X dodge it. Okay.
But the portal.
She's underneath the fort. She dodges. Oh, man, she's good. She dodged everything.
I was really hoping Roll20 would just chase that until either they died or she died. One of the two must go. Shots concluding here, I guess, up towards top. Still leaving the 2 forts for the members of Roll20. But Roll20 locked down every single fort now. All 3 are gone, so keeps all that remain.
Bit of a lull period where Even in Death, maybe if they can take out all of the mercenary camps, then they could get back out on the battleground. There's only one mercenary camp with this one being taken too. So that should show that Even in Death know where Roll20 are going. They're heading in toward their bruisers. Malthael's up in the top lane, still getting the soak there. Even in Death have a tiny amount of time to hopefully catch somebody in a rotation, get a pick, get into a team fight, but after that, it's going to be a long road until they have 16 at the same time as Roll20. This is 16 talent tier at least.
It's just, where does it stop? It's just a bit of a struggle. I'm just trying to look towards the future at what moment can Even in Death recover, and until that point, or until I find that miracle with this big of a loss with structures and experience, all I have to say is, Even in Death, I respect your efforts to be able to hold on this far. And Roll20 may want to second-guess themselves if Goku wants to turn around an initiation the next time. Boss is the only realistic one remaining, it feels like, and that's 25 seconds out. You have stage dive instead of mosh pit. You have 7-sided, which is technically equally good, to, I guess, ish to Palm, depending on the situation. Cocoon's pretty good on boss. But Leyline, Tormented Souls, Army of the Dead, Flailing Swipe, literally everybody but Cursed Bullet from Greymane is good at this boss.
Yeah, and the bigger issue is that the boss is up now, and 16 is absolutely not for Even in Death. There is no 16 here. So now hard choices must be made by Even in Death. Do they try to contest this boss? The way they're grouping seems like yes. Rhaegar's starting to run in. ETC can stage dive in. Roll20 is taking a bunch of damage from the boss, so let's see what happens.
They got a lot of pressure on the Buds, and the Leyline's too early. They might have a chance.
Early.
They got the kill. They actually have an opportunity. Justing is the first focus here. If he goes down, they got the boss.
The cocoon was so good. They took out Arthas, and then they
Miracles!
cocooned.
They have done the impossible. Even in Death. Even in Death shows life.
They found Glarung and they found Goku. This is a huge opportunity for Even in Death. Glarung portals over the wall, but Lutano is there. Doesn't catch him in time before he gets into Raven form, but they still should be able to get Goku and bring him down.
That's a staggered death. 20-second difference between the Arthas and Goku. So now, much like last game, Even in Death, they need to push with this boss. They need to keep up this pressure. They cannot let up against Roll20.
They're getting the temple in the bottom lane. That is softening up the towers in front of this boss. But it does also mean that these shots are kind of going in the same place where the boss was going to go. How far along, or even in death, willing to risk this? They know Leyline Seal is still down for a little bit longer, but glowering with an aggressive portal starting to be fairly scary for even in death. So they'll back off, push in a different lane. They find Justing and Prismaticism, glowering here too. Buds is coming in, but still no Malthael for a couple of seconds, so they have time to disengage.
Good dodge on that Howling Blast from Lutano, able to make it out. And the shots now concluding there on bottom. Again, the keep is not gone down for the members of Roll20. So even in death, dare I say it, is on even footing. They have made the miracle fight happen. So what does that change this game is my biggest fear here. When we look at the entirety of this match, all cases where Roll20 or even in death has been on even footing or in an advantageous moment has been purely off of a high-risk call.
Mistakes.
From Roll20.
Or well, not mistakes,
first one was
but yeah,
definitely a mistake.
Definitely high risk.
I will say the boss is high risk, because when you're winning a map like Sky Temple in the manner that they didn't have to take that, but they chose to do so confidently. And obviously, it's something that they may be regretting at this point in time, but they weren't as successful as they originally projected.
Yeah, something that maybe would work out for them in scrims like 90% of the time. And in this instance, they took a ton of damage from the boss. Lunara did a fantastic job of hitting a ton of people with the poisons. And then the Leyline Seal was very early because things started to look dire for the members of Roll20.
So I feel like the TLDR of that is not that it's like, by no means, this is great news for even in death and their chances throughout this game, but it's just, you have to be able to win the game outside of, or win of something outside of cases where your opponent is taking an insane risk oftentimes on a map like, or in Heroes of the Storm. And Roll20, I feel like they're out of, they're done with their risky play calls. That's the second boss. Okay, we figured it out. Even in death is a big enough threat to not take lightly, and now we'll see a bit more control from them.
It just depends. If Roll20 plays as if they are still ahead, as teams sometimes will do, they may still keep up with the risks. They need to recognize now that they are no longer in control of this game. They are at best, even at worst, maybe the first team to lose a keep in this game, and that is not where you want to be on Sky Temple. Absolutely
not. And we find 4 seconds for those shrines up. Granted, none of them are going to be through bottom, so no keep lethal yet for even in death, unless they have more damage throughout mid than I'm giving them credit. Homicidal takes a lot of pressure. Impale there to disengage.
Now, it's a great Impale. Frozen X still doing some poison damage to anybody that he can get his hands on. ETC sitting in the top, lurking arm in the weighted pustule. That was a big slowing down Lutano and his positioning. A flanking Karazim is not something I expected to see from even in death, but all the while ETC still getting the shots in the top lane, and it's doing a lot more keep pressure. It's time for Roll20 to strike.
Frozen X gets a brilliant leaping strike out. Ancestral connects onto Homicidal. Lutano going in, getting the punches out. Leyline buys time for the Beetle to keep himself alive, but now the focus is all on Justing. 7-sided strike, Justing. He goes down. It is 1-0. Even in death is winning this fight.
They've taken down a keep, the keep in the top. There's a few shots left in the mid, but Roll20 is going to have to fight if they're going to get the rest of those. Things are going from bad to worse for Roll20. They have lost a keep. A secondary keep is all but dead, and even in death is well on their way to having 20 ahead of Roll20.
The top keep down, the bottom keep is about to fall too. Even in death, they're going to win the race to 20. This is just miracles. I've seen some comebacks in my day, but this is just legendary. This is one that they will speak of for centuries. Not as good as maybe Dignitas L5 and Midseason Brawl, but it's pretty close.
Even in death on their battleground, achieve 21st and are set up in a way to maybe be the first team in Part 2 to take a game off of Roll20, but we said that before for Superstars on Tomb.
Oh, and they're split.
Not over till it's over.
Oh, that was so scary. Whenever you see that Raven just sitting over top and you are not together as a 5-man, the ley line play is very, very common. Glaurung not having the confidence to try and pull a rich camp right there, not without his 20 at least.
Speaking of 20s, considering what Medivh is going to get here, if he wants Medivh cheats for more control over camps, over the team fights, more isolation, or if he's, oh goodness, or if he's going to feel like he needs to get Guardian of Tirisfal? Yeah, Guardian of Tirisfal now so that he can close out.
I want to see cheats. I want to see cheats. If it's a different map, I would say I like Guardians of Tirisfal. I feel like, honestly, that amount of wave clear is just insane, but on a map like this, I feel like you gotta go with it, or you go with the stealth. One of the two. Pressure on the Homicidal. He ate a cursed bullet.
He's still considering it. And I think Goku always does this, but if he dies, or is looking like he's going to die, he'll just take no one can stop death.
Today I learned Wisp can get hit by Flask.
There it is, Guardian of Tears Fall.
He goes with it still. Even though the likelihood of them needing to kill catapults, I guess they're afraid of that top pressure and not having a global. So Glarung will be the man sitting back, ridding of those catapults if it gets to that point.
Frozen X has been caught. Leaping Strike's over.
But the Flailing Sight pushed him away.
Yep. Now the Leyline Seal has been dropped. Army of the Dead and Roll20 again will try to get into a fight. Goku sitting in the back. Ancestral Healing connects, keeping.
He needs another dash. He gets it.
Lutano alive.
So low, Goku goes in.
They have the limited healing.
And they get him. Cocoon goes down the lurking arm, but the members of Even in Death struggling here without their Rhaegar, without Hao, and the Shrines are up.
Shrines are up, but Even in Death are willing to go back in. They still have one support even without Rhaegar. Stage dive in the back. Lutano in danger. So is Frozen X. No Leaping Strike to save her this time. There's a second kill for Roll20.
But there's catapults onto the core, but without a stage dive, there's no threat for lethal here for Even in Death anymore. Maybe if ETC had used his heroic towards the core, I would say there is a chance here. So what do we see the members of Roll20 do? They're going to back out towards these shots. Still 40 seconds without Lunara. Mid keeps dead 100%.
They're going for the boss and the mid temple and clearing those catapults.
Roll20 once again.
They are so split. But do Even in Death recognize it, and can they capitalize on it? There's the boss.
Definitely didn't recognize it. Capitalization is yet to be discovered. If they do, it would have to be moving past that boss and getting a dive on bottom. The portal is taken. ETC does have his stage dive. He will use it. Battery, another cooldown down.
Just barely saves the bottom keep for Roll20. It's a keep versus a keep in the bottom lane, but a boss for Roll20 is hoping to make the change necessary to take that down.
I was hoping they would save it. The burst. Just to make sure that they could get as much damage output onto this keep as they can.
Look at Justing.
He's just flanking
Hello,
around.
this is sideways.
They're going in. They're going to end this. Justing's pop Army of the Dead. Roll20 wants to go in, all in onto the core, and they have found the core.
They're on the core now. The shielding just starting to be brought down. Tormented Souls from Goku.
They have mouth.
That's already done. There's the cocoon on Goku. Leyline C only catches one person.
86%.
It's Lutano.
First to drop is going to be
Greymane! And Buds is low too. Justing still on the core. We're at 60%. Justing Glowering is zoned all the way away. So is Buds from Lutano. Lutano is just about to 1v1 Glowering, and he takes him down. There's only 2 now left. Now it's just Justing on the core. I think Even in Death is going to do this.
They hold off Roll20 from their core, leaving it at 14%. They now have 35 seconds for Greymane to come back online. Another 10 for the remainders of the members of Roll20. Can they end the game before that happens? You see the dismount not being maybe as proper as necessary there. Nobody, specifically your Rhaegar, who can't get dismounted.
This is done.
Did they? I guess you're right. I mean, maybe.
Look at those respawn timers.
I just somehow can't believe it. Like, I'm watching the core fall, but I just kind of refuse to believe it.
Here comes Battery with the stage dive. And as he dives onto the core, Even in Death stop. Roll20's win streak at 13 before they lose the 1.
13 games in a row, and then we find ourselves here. Even in Death was the team who did it. Man, North America, you guys just, it is amazing some of the things that, the fact that